is not a test.
Before I go into the next part, I wanted to go back to part 1, a statement I left out that the good old doctor from the Carnegie Institute made, a statement specifically about what his only plan was for combating climate change. Remember, the doctor was petitioned by the government to come in front of them and to give his opinion. Second, he stated along with others that the government should specifically make his plan of using planes to spray chemicals a national security matter, in which he stated that the public having knowledge of the plan was a national security matter and they should not know about it. So, on to this specific statement about his plan. The doctor stated clearly it is possible to design an autonomous specialized aircraft to loft sulfuric acid precursors into the lower stratosphere, but the current analysis focuses on existing aircraft. The doctor stated options for dispersing gases from planes include the addition of sulfur to the fuel, which would release the aerosol through the exhaust system of the plane, or the attachment of a nozzle to release the sulfur from its own tank within the plane, which would be the better option. Dr. Caldera goes on to state, since climate change is an important national security issue, the military could be directed to carry out the mission with existing aircraft at minimal additional cost. I found a scientific article on chemtrails. It was published in 2016 in a peer-reviewed journal called Environmental Research Letters. The title, Quantifying Expert Consensus Against the Existence of a Secret, Large-Scale Atmospheric Spying Program. Some of you may know this article, some of you may not. It is research conducted by a few scientists and one other person, Mr. Mick West. The research was to find evidence of chemspraying. The research was basically sending out an electronic survey, asking scientists questions, and to review only one piece of physical data on chemtrails, and then asking them to conclude if chemtrails existed. I recognize the effort put forth in this research. It's the same as a middle school experiment. To say it was a high school science fair experiment would be giving too much credit. I found that little data was investigated by the 4 researchers. The findings in the investigation was solely based on an opinion, as the research behind it was only a survey. Surveys are the #1 go-to of the government, media, and politicians, generally because it has the same effect and outcome of actual research, but without the cost of spending millions on actual research. This one probably only cost a couple grand. Basically, they asked 78 scientists if they thought chemtrails existed. They said no. The only evidence they gave the scientists was soil samples, and to be honest, 29 of the scientists said they needed more data before they could make a decision. This was the answer that was given by the scientists about all 3 samples. The scientists in the study said that the elements barium, aluminum, and strontium known to coincide with chemtrail activity were all at normal levels in all the samples collected. One only said they were a bit excessive, but there's a few problems with the samples they are questioning. What I found out about the elements themselves will shock you. Barium isn't an element found free in nature. It was created by an alchemist named Sir Humphrey Davy. Barium is formed from barite by electrolysis, meaning human intervention is needed in order to create barium specifically. Barium was observed in all 3 samples, all from different locations from around the United States, meaning only human intervention would have been able to put them there. So here's the odd thing about all this. Remember the scientist from the Carnegie Institute I mentioned in the Congress hearing, Dr. Caldera? Well, he is the same doctor that did the research on the article I just showed you, trying to convince others that government doesn't have a top secret chemspraying operation. You know, the same Carnegie Institute doctor that was hired by the government to convince them that the aerosol spraying was the only way. The same doctor that told the government that chem spraying is a moral hazard and should be dubbed a national security matter. Congress asked Dr. Caldera where the volcanic aerosol particles ended up after a period of time, further meaning where would the aluminum aerosol particles end up after we sprayed them. He gave no answer. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment down below. Be sure and subscribe and like.